Here's a number that stopped us cold: $41,000. That's how much one employee, a logistics coordinator in Ohio named Marcus, left on the table over 11 years, inside a retirement account his company told him was one of the best perks of the job. He maxed his contributions every single year. He never missed a paycheck deduction. He did everything right. And he still lost $41,000. Not to bad investments, not to a market crash, to one condition buried in his employer's 401k plan document that HR never walked him through during onboarding. This video is for educational purposes only, not financial advice. Now let's get into it. That condition has a name. It's called a vesting schedule, and it is the single most misunderstood feature of employer-sponsored retirement accounts in America. Most people think of a 401k match as free money, and technically, it is, eventually. But that word, eventually, is doing a lot of work. When your employer says they match 50% of your contributions up to 6% of your salary, they are not saying that money is yours the day it hits your account. What they're saying, buried 3 pages into the plan document, is that the money becomes yours on a schedule they control. That schedule is called vesting. And there are 2 main types that the IRS allows under the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974. Most people know it as ERISA. The first type is cliff vesting. With cliff vesting, you own 0% of your employer's matching contributions until you hit a specific anniversary. Under federal law, that cliff can be as far out as 3 years. So if you leave your job at 2 years and 11 months, you walk away with none of the match. Not a reduced amount. None. Zero. The second type is graded vesting. This spreads ownership across 6 years. Year 1, 0%. Year 2, 20%. Year 3, 40. Year 4, 60. Year 5, 80. Year 6, finally, 100%. Under ERISA, the maximum graded schedule allowed is 6 years. Some employers use shorter ones. Many don't. And here's the thing HR almost never explains at orientation. Your own contributions, the money coming out of your paycheck, are always 100% vested immediately. It's only the employer's match that's on the schedule. So the account balance you see on your screen every month includes money that isn't fully yours yet. So which of these vesting schedules does your employer use? Drop the name of your company or just your industry in the comments, and we'll help you figure out what to look for. This is where Marcus's story becomes a lesson. He worked for a mid-sized supply chain company that used a 4-year cliff vesting schedule, the maximum allowed under the company's plan, which was still within federal limits. His employer matched 100% of contributions up to 5% of salary. Marcus earned $68,000 a year. 5% of that is $3,400 per year in matching contributions. Over 11 years, he changed jobs 3 times. And here's where it gets painful. His first job, he left at 2 years and 7 months. Cliff at 3 years. He got nothing from the match. That's roughly $6,800 gone. Second job, he left at 3 years and 2 months. He crossed the cliff. He kept that match. Third job, he left at 3 years and 9 months. Another cliff at 4 years. Another complete loss of 3 years of matching contributions. That's roughly $10,200. Added up across compounding returns over time, and you get to $41,000 in lost retirement wealth. Not a market loss, not bad decisions, a schedule nobody explained. Now here's where the financial mechanics really matter, because this isn't just about the dollars left behind. It's about what those dollars would have grown into. A 401k match invested in a broad index fund, something like a total market fund tracking the Russell 3000, has historically returned roughly 7 to 9% annually over long periods. Money left in the plan at 30 years old doesn't just grow by what you contributed. It compounds. $6,800 at 30, left alone for 35 years at 7% annually, becomes approximately $91,000 by retirement age. Think about that. One job exit, 3 months early, costs you a 6-figure retirement outcome. Here's our actual take on this, and it's a little uncomfortable. The vesting schedule is not a bug in the 401k system. It's a feature. For the employer, ERISA created it to help companies retain workers, which is a legitimate business interest. But the way it gets communicated, or doesn't, during benefits enrollment is where the system fails employees. HR is not legally required to sit down with you and explain the full vesting timeline. They're required to provide you with a summary plan description. That document, which most people never read, contains every detail. The responsibility is technically on you, and that asymmetry of information costs American workers billions of dollars per year. So let's talk about a second angle, because vesting schedules are not the only condition that can make a 401k match worth less than it appears. There's a second mechanism most people overlook entirely. It's the match formula itself. Some employers match 50 cents on the dollar up to 6%. Some match 100% up to 3%. Those sound similar. They're not. If you earn $80,000 a year and contribute 10%, the first employer gives you $2,400 in matching contributions, 50% of 6% of $80,000. The second employer gives you $2,400 too, 100% of 3% of $80,000. Identical outcome in that case, but the moment you compare them at a 5% contribution rate, the formulas split. The 50% up to 6% plan gives you $2,000. The 100% up to 3% plan maxes at $2,400 and gives you nothing extra above 3%. The point here is that the match formula and the vesting schedule work together. A generous-looking formula attached to a 4-year cliff vesting schedule is worth significantly less than a modest formula. With immediate vesting, if you're in an industry where job tenure averages 2 to 3 years. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that the median employee tenure in the United States is approximately 4.1 years. 4.1 years, and plenty of industries, especially tech, logistics, retail, and healthcare support roles, run significantly below that. If your industry's average tenure sits under your vesting cliff, a large portion of your workforce is statistically leaving before they're vested. The employer is collecting the retention benefit of offering the match without paying out the full cost of it. If this changed how you think about your 401k match, this is exactly what we break down here every week. One financial story, one real mechanism, for people who are still building wealth, not people who already have it. Hit subscribe, and you'll get every one of these. So what do you actually do with this? Here are 2 concrete moves. The first move, find your summary plan description today, not next open enrollment. Today, your HR portal, your benefits provider's website, or a direct request to HR. They're legally required to give it to you within 30 days of a written request under ERISA. Search the document for the words vesting schedule. Look at whether it's cliff or graded, and look at the timeline. If you're inside a cliff window right now, that date is worth knowing. Some people in this situation find it worth factoring into a job change timeline. Leaving 2 months early could cost you years of compounding. That's a real calculation. The second move, if your vesting timeline makes the employer match uncertain or slow, consider whether maxing your 401k is actually the right priority. The IRS limit for 2024 is $23,000 in employee contributions for people under 50. That's a lot of money locked in a plan with a vesting string attached. Some people in this situation are better served by contributing only up to the matched amount, capturing whatever match they can, and then routing additional savings into a Roth IRA, where the 2024 limit is $7,000 per year, or a taxable brokerage account through platforms like Fidelity or Vanguard, where there's no lock-in at all. The 401k pre-tax advantage is real, but flexibility has value too, especially if your vesting clock hasn't run out. And here's a question for you. Did you know your vesting schedule before today? And if you looked it up after watching this, what did you find? Tell us in the comments. Seriously, we read them, and your answer might help someone else watching this. The 401k is still one of the most powerful retirement tools available to American workers. But the match is not free money until the vesting schedule says it is. And knowing that one condition, before you make a career move, can be worth tens of thousands of dollars over a working life. There's another clause that works the same way, and it affects people who roll over a 401k when they switch jobs. Most people get it wrong. That story is already on the channel.